Well, Merry Christmas, Club Scouts.
Merry Christmas to those who celebrate.
And to those who are listening to this podcast on Christmas. Maybe you have, you're hiding away from your family. Maybe you have had enough. Maybe you got a new, listening device or a new phone, and you're dropping in your new podcast, your podcast apps, and you're checking it out. Yeah. And we popped up and you said, Merry Christmas.
I'll have that.
I'll take one of these.
Yeah. Maybe you're going for your cousin's walk, before Christmas dinner.
Cousin's walk where everyone has a sneaky little cigarette.
Mm-hmm. Or whatever
Could be a jazz cigarette.
Get through that dinner, depending. I don't know.
Yeah. It's Michael.
And Riley.
And we have another BCC, The Other Side Declassified episode for you. This is a wild one, everybody. This is actually, when the parents go to bed and you want to watch something insane, we suggest Bloodbeat, a 1983 Christmas supernatural horror movie about ninjas and samurai ghosts. This one is wild, and thankfully, to help us unpack is Betsy Sodaro, our dear friend. You know her from Duncanville. You know her from a Funny Feeling podcast. As Kat Hex recently said over on The Other Side, Betsy is truly one of the funniest people alive. Listener Kat Hex. So
that is a fact. Truly.
This is a ringing endorsement from one of your Club Scouts to check this episode out. At the time we recorded, you could find Bloodbeat on Tubi, on YouTube, maybe. I think I may have watched this on YouTube, but if you Google it, you'll find it. It's a really crazy, crazy movie.
It's a perfect post-Cousins Walk selection. I think you'll enjoy it very much.
Yeah, I agree. So here's Bloodbeat with Betsy Sodaro from BCC The Other Side over at patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Welcome to Bigfoot Collectors Club, The Other Side. Ho, ho, ho! Welcome, Club Scouts of all timelines, to Bigfoot Collectors Club, The Other Side. I'm your host, Michael Claus. Filling in for your alternate host, Bryce Johnson, is ultra-terrestrial producer
Riley Bray.
And joining us from a Funny Feeling podcast, every Christmas episode on the Bigfoot Collectors Club, and multiple amazing television shows and movies, is
Betsy Sodaro.
You didn't think we were going to go another holiday season without Betsy Sodaro here, did you?
Come on now.
Better not have, dudes.
Well, Betsy, you've never been to a BCC holiday party on the other side before. It's pretty much just like the regular show, but a little bit looser.
Nice.
It's the podcast, but we're drinking while we're making it.
Basically. It's the podcast, but I slowly get drunk. And then people say on Instagram, was Michael high?
Yes. Good.
Nope. Just most of the time I'm tired. Some of the time I've had one too many glasses of rosé and I slow down.
Or
Betsy,
speed up sometimes.
Yeah, or speed up. That's true.
It could go either way, really.
Ooh.
Betsy, how the hell are you?
Oh my goodness. I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here and talk about Christmas spooky stuff.
Well, we have an amazing movie to discuss for this episode.
Wow.
Bloodbeat.
Yeah.
I have so many thoughts about that. I'm sure you guys do too. But before we get into that, I want to catch up with Betsy. Betsy, we want to know, have you had any spooky shit happen in the past year?
Spooky? Not really. I Not really. And I've been using my ghost detector to really look around. My really great free app on my phone to see if any ghosts are around. But nothing nothing
Well,
spooky.
let me ask you this then. You've been in the paranormal podcast business about as long as Riley and I have,
Yes.
a little bit longer. Where are you at, like, philosophically, like, with the paranormal? Have you developed okay, here's what I think is going on perspective?
Well, I will say you all have blown my mind multiple times to where it's like to where it's like, whoa, Bigfoot could be an alien or something like that, like just kind of popping in and out like that. I never thought about that before, and that idea of just like, oh, dimensions kind of maybe crossing, or I've definitely opened up even more.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I still don't want to see I don't want to see a ghost or anything.
What about Bigfoot? Would you be okay with seeing a cryptid, like a real monster?
Yeah, I think I would. I think I would handle that better than seeing a ghost,
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd rather see something alive than something that's dead.
Right. And I will say though, I think my mind would go to being like, oh, that is like that's some sort of animal that, has some sort of like broken bones or something. Like I think I would try to like justify it in my head as much as possible. Who
Arguably
knows?
worse, though, right? It's not Bigfoot. It's just a suffering creature. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, Betsy, on the latest episode of A Funny Feeling, now I haven't listened to the entire episode yet, but Marcy tipped me off that you guys talked about the TV show Helier, which we've discussed a few times here on the other side in our TV Club episodes. Bryce isn't here. He can't speak for himself. I know Bryce is a huge fan. But apparently, I just want to address this. I was getting added today in Instagram. So all Marcy said was that you guys took me to task for recommending this show.
I can't even remember why I brought it up. I can't even remember why I brought it up. And we truly recorded it like a couple of days ago. And I can't remember why. But I'm sorry, Michael. I found it to be boring.
Okay.
And that's what I said. And then we were just kind of laughing and just roasted you.
I got to hear. I'm like 30 minutes in and it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah,
I do listen every week. I'm just not always listening on the day it comes out.
Right.
What bored you about it? The fact that a man wrote in an email saying that there were goblins in his backyard?
No, that could be fun. It just took so long for barely anything to happen.
Yes.
Like it was just a lot of like, oh, we were talking about synchronicity.
Oh yeah, because that's
paranormal synchronicity or whatever.
That's a big theme in Helier. They're very big on. I mean, Greg and Dana have been on the show. We love Greg and Dana. They are, and I get excited by synchronicities as well. So I'm guilty of this. But they in that show they are more excited about their synchronicities than maybe anybody else on this planet.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And that was just kind of like, God, like this is. I could never live like that where it's like, oh my gosh, my computer says 809 and remember 9 years, like right. But that's just my brain doesn't think that way. But we were talking about that and I was like, I never had really heard about it until Helier. And then I continued to go.
Roasted.
It was boring. But hey, they made a big long 2-season documentary. Like that's huge. Nobody, not a lot of people do that, and they seem very nice.
They got up and they did it. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I mean, truly. I know, Riley, I want to hear your opinion real quick, but just real quick, I do want to say the thing that I do find entertaining about what Greg and Dana are doing in Helier is if you want to live your life like picking up on symbols and finding meaning in the small, like, because a lot of people will be like, life is meaningless, I don't have any direction, blah 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 blah. And I feel like they prove in that show that if you want to go on a quest, you can just get up in the morning and go on an adventure and find meaning in the world around you, and maybe get some like really inspiring results, even if you don't find goblins. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that may not make for a great paranormal show. That's up for debate. But I do think I've told Greg and Dana on the show, I was like, well, it's good to know you guys will never, ever be bored. You know?
Yeah, that is nice. I would have never thought of it that way. And that is nice. I was in the more like bummer of like, you all need to just chill.
Yeah. No, I get it. I had that. Yeah. I had moments like that too.
Right.
I mean, yeah, Michael, I think you really hit the nail on the head with it. It's just like it's a bunch of friends going on a paranormal quest together, but it really at the end of the day feels more about them kind of getting each other excited about spookiness than like anything like happening. But that said, I really like Greg and Dana a lot, and I do think it's a good thing
shot well, fucking really great theme song.
Yeah.
I just I was expecting goblins, maybe, I guess. But I mean, what a fucking bar to clear, you know? Like, we expect goblins? Like, are you not entertained?
Could you imagine if, like, they reach into a hole and they pull out a net and there's just, like, a goblin going...
Now that's what I call a movie. I think it was just more also, like, these are long episodes. Mm-hmm. I'm also very, like... I'm over all of these movies being over 2 hours long. It's like, we don't need this. Let's keep it quick and fun and packed with fun action. But hey, yeah, I think I hope they find some goblins.
I do too. So what do you guys want to do? Should we... You queued us up perfectly, Betsy. Should we move on to the movie and then do some Santa stories at the end of the show? Or should we do a couple Santa stories to get into the mood of Christmas and then the movie? What do you guys want to do?
Ooh.
I mean, I could vibe on some Santa now, really.
Yeah, let's do some Santa now.
Right? So if you listen to the very first episode of the show that Betsy was ever a guest on, it was about Santa Claus. And I think that was back in December of 2018. And it was episode 50, so that's right. And I dug up, during that episode, I had found some stories of people who witnessed Santa Claus. They thought they saw the real Santa, okay? And then I found an article that's more recent of more stories of people's memories of seeing Santa when they were young. Yes. And I thought, I'm just going to go down this article and pick a couple. This is from liveabout.com. I don't know what this is, but Santa Claus sightings on Christmas Eve. Yes. Stories children tell of seeing Saint Nick and his reindeer. Okay, here's a good one. From Bristol, England in 2000. I'm 14 now, but this happened back in 2000 in my old house in Bristol. I was with my mum and dad and my sister. It was about midnight on Christmas Eve, and I was the only one awake because I was really excited. And I could hear these big footsteps in my living room. I was quite scared, and I could also hear bells tingling above me, so I wanted to see what was going on. I walked down the stairs very slowly, and I could see this big man putting presents around my living room. I wanted to say something, but I was too scared to do it because I thought he would be angry. I ran back upstairs and went back to sleep. I was so convinced I saw the real Santa and told everyone in the morning, but no one believed me. Alex H.
Whoa.
I like how the word "mum" triggered you into the English
Yeah,
accent.
I was like, I'll do a half-ass English
Yeah,
accent as soon as I
like
see
traveled through some
mom.
different regions. Yeah,
You
gotta
got
do
it
it.
as soon as mum pops up.
This is like a just straight up basic bitch Santa delivering presents in the living room when everyone else is asleep.
Yep. What the heck? Yeah, man. What is it? Santa.
I think we read this one about the scurrying Santa Claus, but how about this?
Nasty.
Ooh, this one's called White Santa 1969. I had an experience when I was 3 years old and still young enough to wear footed pajamas. The year was maybe 1969, Christmas Eve. I wanted to see what Santa had brought me, so I quietly walked down the hallway and looked around the corner to our living room. I saw my parents and someone I didn't know hanging around our Christmas tree.
What?
The stranger was an old guy with a white beard and hair with a red suit. I quickly went back to my room as fast as I could with footed pajamas and slid into bed. I told my mom what happened many years later, and she insisted that I was dreaming or that it was my dad. That wasn't possible because my dad was sitting in a chair behind the stranger and my mom was standing right next to my dad. I'm African American, and during that time, the tenants in our building were all African American, so Santa stood out. Joanne.
Whoa.
What's this old white man doing in our living room?
Right? Whoa. Hearing parents hanging out with Santa, you don't hear that a lot.
No, and
good point. Yeah,
the parents insist they couldn't see him. So
What?
they said that couldn't have happened, right? That never
Right.
would have happened. So does this imply that Santa is A, invisible to adults,
Oh.
and B, like only visible to kids?
Whoa.
That's sort of the same point.
Sort of the
That's the
same. A and B.
That's the
Yeah.
same.
That's one.
I didn't know where to go after
You
B.
committed
Or
to A, so
C.
you're like, I need a fucking B. Shit.
C, the parents cannot see it. And D,
Ah.
only the kids can.
And D, parents don't see Santa.
Oh.
That is wild. Maybe. Or what if you're an adult and you still believe? You know?
Right. Do Christmas movies like rules apply?
Right.
But this brings up a greater question about the paranormal in general. Do paranormal Christmas movie rules apply that the older we get and the less we believe, the less likely we are to see something kooky? And kids don't have that programming yet, so they're fucking seeing leprechauns. They're seeing, Mongolian death worms. They're watching Santa hang out with their parents. You know what I mean?
Right. It would make sense, like, if Santa, because I feel ghosts and spirits and stuff are pumped when a kid is around because they're like, yes, I can like play with them, I can talk to them, I can tell them creepy stuff. Like, so why not with Santa?
Yeah. Santa's pretty creepy. Yeah.
I had nightmares. We've talked about this. I had nightmares about Santa, like hanging out in my room. Like, who invited him?
Right.
This fat man can get into the house through the chimney.
Just
There's
give
no
me my
protection.
presents and get the hell out of here.
Exactly. All right. Here's one. San Antonio, no date given.
Uh-oh.
Check this out. I was about 7 and I was looking outside my second story window, just waiting to see him. I saw, it's not capitalized. I wasn't talking about God. Waiting to see him. I saw something approaching in the distance. It was a huge sleigh and it was flying right over my house.
What?
I don't remember seeing any reindeer, but I did see a man dressed in red with a beard. I was so startled, but I kept looking, even sticking my head and half my body outside the window. I told my family, but I knew they really didn't believe me. I swear on my life, to this day, I saw something. I don't know if it was really Santa Claus, but I did see what I described.
Wow. What if it was like an alien or something and they were
Yeah.
coming down to Earth and then they kept seeing like all these little fat men in red with the white beard and they're like, "Oh, let's look like that
Yeah.
so that we can
yes.
like fit into this world, man."
I think you're onto something. Also, I think the reason why, like, the gnomes with the white beards and the pointy red hats and the
Uh-huh.
leprechauns and Santa are all generally described looking the same is because I actually think that's one of the manifestations of aliens or interdimensional entities take on. I think they take on this sort of elfy looking weird little guy.
Right.
There's stories of there's like a story, I think it's in Supernatural by Graham Hancock, about school children who saw little men with white beards and red pointy caps walk and drive over the hill in tiny cars and run around their playground during the middle of the day during a like recess.
What?
And
Like
yeah, they had
multiple
this.
kids saw this?
Multiple kids were like,
Mhm.
these little men with white beards and pointy red hats like showed up on our playground and then like ran around and then took off.
What?
And there are weird stories where that type of figure shows up in these sort of in the way that you could replace them with a UFO landing in a field and alien
Right.
greys getting out. There is a thing about these little white bearded dudes in pointy red caps like that I think it's a form that whatever this extraterrestrial or trickster intelligence takes on will take on.
Whoa, why do you think they picked that look? They should all come back as like puppies. And then everybody be like, "Yeah, come on, take us
Space
over."
puppies, yeah.
Space
Yeah.
pups. I don't know. It's very weird, and I don't know because another analogy for Santa is the or allegory is the mushroom, like shrooms, like the red capped mushroom.
Right.
That the idea of taking the red capped mushroom is sort of like interacting with this fairy intelligence, and that you take like we played this on one of the shows, I think,
Yeah.
where like Terrence McKenna talks about it, and then you go over to the other side and you see the elves and like Santa is a psychedelic
Yeah.
experience.
Whoa.
I like that. Santa just like at a Grateful Dead concert parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Santa
got-
loves string cheese incident.
All right, I'm going to read one more. This one is called Quiet
Yeah.
Santa.
Ew. That's come on.
That is the name of an A24 horror film right there.
Yes.
I was probably around 8 years old when on Christmas Eve around 12 a.m., I'd been lying awake in bed for about 30 minutes. I was extremely excited, thinking about the morning and opening presents. Anyway, I start to hear these very faint footsteps approaching. Slowly, a man in boots, carrying a sack, looked into my room, my parents' room, and then my brother's room. I'm absolutely 100% positive I was awake, too. I could see him fairly well because we had a nightlight on across the hall in our bathroom. I remember hiding my entire face under the covers with a small portion of my eyes to see. He then walked away quietly and he was gone. Of course, I told my parents and brother in the morning about my sighting, and of course, they thought I was crazy. To this day, I'm 28 now, I asked my parents if they had anything to do with this. They still deny it and say I was dreaming. I strongly believe I saw a spirit or some kind of entity of Santa. Now, we may have read that one before because that sounds familiar, but still, creepy as
Right.
fuck.
Yeah, that sounds like a home invasion robbery.
That's
or
what I was
something.
thinking. Like, that sounds like a burglar, dude.
Yeah, that's a
Like-
dude who robbed you and wanted to make sure no one was awake.
Exactly.
That was like one of those
Whoa.
burglars that dresses up as Santa Claus, like the
Yes.
the
I mean,
Grinch.
it's a good cover. Yeah.
It's a great cover.
Because the kids see you, then they get a fun memory, and you don't
Yeah.
get caught.
As
So.
your house is getting just robbed, dude.
Ransacked. Well, there's another batch of Maybe I
Whoa.
Saw Santa. The other thing that made me think, like, all these kids talk about how excited they were. I wonder if it's possible that kids are getting so hyped up on Christmas Eve that like DMT starts flooding their brains and they get themselves
Whoa.
naturally. Huh?
I honestly think it's something like that. Because I talked about it on the show. Like when I was a little kid, I swear I saw leprechauns on St. Patrick's Day. But I think my parents just hyped up St. Patrick's Day like so hard for also like an inexplicable reason. Like we're not particularly Irish or anything. I don't know why they went so hard on that. I think they just liked tricking us or something. But I was sure that I saw a leprechaun, but I think I was just, my
Whoa.
little kid brain was just tripping balls,
Yeah, because I feel like, also kids do that where one's like, did you just see a werewolf? Yes, I just saw
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder if there is just like,
It's like something in the developing brain of like structuring a reality, where kids are like, is it this? And they're like, yes, it is that. And then, yeah, like you're saying,
Right.
They have some ability to like create some type of augmented reality, like hallucination. That made that I would not be surprised about, because like if you think back to being a kid or think back to like the first time you did like mushrooms or some sort of psychedelic drug, that it felt very much like being a little kid. I think kids are just fucking tripping balls all the time. Like I think between like infancy and ages 3 or 4, you are pretty much stoned or tripping naturally on like brain juice,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you come down into cold, hard reality.
Yeah, because there's a point where you're like blown away by your own hands. You're pretty young, but like where it is just like, whoa, what is this, man? And like, seeing colors for the first, or like new colors and stuff, and just being like, what?
Well, we've talked about it on this show where like certain wallpaper patterns I used to like look at as I was laying to bed, and they would start moving. The lines would start like dancing around and moving like a magic eye.
That still happens to me. I have this one rug in my bathroom, and it's constantly moving.
Wait a minute, tell us more. By the way,
can we
have a Patreon episode where we all come over and look at your bathroom rug?
Yeah. You got to, because I notice it all the time. I'm like, man, my eyes are just like making that rug move. Like the lines on it, not the rug itself, but like,
what's the pattern like, and how to? Right. The rug isn't moving across the floor,
right?
But the pattern is animating.
Yes, yeah.
How does it animate? Yeah, please. I want more information.
Please. It's like it's navy blue and white, and like I think the like zigzaggy kind of lines. Yeah, and it moves a lot, especially after a night of partying.
Betsy's party rug. This is awesome.
It's my party rug, man.
Guys, I gotta go to listen, I'm gonna head out. Before I go to bed, I'm making a little stop in the bathroom. Not for what you're thinking. I got a little rug show to wind me down, and then I'm going straight to bed.
Yeah. It is just like, oh man. And I still I feel wallpaper and stuff. I'll have moments where my eyes are just like, hey, this shit's gonna move around a little bit.
Yeah.
You're cool with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
I love it. All right. Well, it's time to talk about this month's movie for Bigfoot Movie Club. this was a little bit of a shot in the dark. Betsy, I was texting you about coming back and doing this, and I was like, because you turned me on to Black Christmas last year, I think.
It's so good.
Black Christmas is fucking great. Loved it. And then I was like, well, what other Christmas horror movies are there? I mean, do you know any off the top of your head that come to mind for you?
Like Silent Night, Deadly Night. There's like
Never
5
seen
of
it.
those.
Mm-hmm.
They're very fun. Hit up number 2, because a lot of number 2 is just clips from number 1. So like you kind of get both. You're like, yeah, I get it. And then there's one called Christmas Evil, which is I gotta say I watch it every year, but it's kind of one where you're like, this poor man is just kind of losing his mind. So it's not as fun as like it could be.
If you
know?
really unpack it, you're like, this sad, lonely man whose family didn't visit for Christmas is
truly like he like has a mental breakdown and starts killing people, and you're like, this is a bummer, man. You got Jack Frost, not the Michael Keaton one, but the one where it's like kind of Chucky style. A serial killer is getting driven to his like death, to his
execution.
To his execution. They hit a big old truck with like radioactive acid in it or something. And so his blood molds with that acid and the snow, and he becomes an evil killer snowman.
So it's just a
Plausible,
it's just a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles origin story.
Pretty
but applied
much.
to a criminal and a snowman.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a fun one. It's wild. It's wild.
That's one that I feel like I've seen the poster more than most. Like I've seen the poster for Jack Frost, the horror movie, pop up more than I've seen the poster for Titanic in my lifetime, and I've never watched it.
Right. I feel it's streaming on everything. You should give it a shot. It's silly.
Cannot wait.
Yeah. And then what? Yeah, those are like kind of trying to think if there. Yeah, those are kind of the. Oh, there's one that we watched last year called Santa's Sleigh. SLAY. Starring some wrestler dude, and it's funny. I'm trying to remember. It's wild. It's just it's a fun one. That's just like Santa's evil. Or something. I can't even remember really. I gotta watch it again.
Santa fell into a vat of radioactive acid, and he became the naughty list. He combined with the naughty list and became evil.
Yeah.
Well, as you and I were chatting about what we should pick, we were Googling, and this movie popped up, Bloodbeat.
Dude.
And once we took a look at the summary of this film, I think you and I were both like, we have a winner here.
Right. How did you find this? You were just Googling?
I Googled Christmas horror movies. You know what I mean? I wanted to find something that neither one of us had seen.
Yes.
And this one popped up like on a couple lists. So here's the summary. Bloodbeat is a 1982 supernatural slasher film written and directed by Fabrice Anja Zafiratos, and starring Helen Benton, thank you, Terry Brown, Claudia Payton, James Fitzgibbons, and Dana Day. The plot focuses on a young couple attending a family gathering for Christmas in a rural home when a spirit wearing samurai armor begins killing members of the family, 2 of whom have psychic abilities and their neighbors.
It's so crazy, man.
This came out on March 18th, 1983. Directed by the aforementioned Fabrice Ange Zafiratos. I believe this was like a co-Italian American thing, so it's kind of got like a European flair to it, for sure. This guy hasn't directed pretty much anything else. Produced by the greatest production company name of all time, Husky Pup Film Productions
Very
Incorporated.
good.
logo,
Very
too.
good.
Oh man, that logo.
I texted Riley last night. I was like, I'm 1 second in, and the logo has sold me on this movie.
Yeah, that intro is pretty
Seriously.
great. Yeah.
All right, so what we'll do is, why don't we have Riley roll the trailer for our Club Scouts? And then once we come back, we're getting into spoiler territory. We're going to unpack this movie with Betsy Sodaro.
Right.
All right, here we go.
A ghost, a devil, a poltergeist. Call it what you will, It breathes. You'll be paralyzed with fear as it kills and mutilate anyone in its path. A girl possessed, woman tormented by a psychic powers. Bloodbeat, a horrifying chain of inexplicable lengths, an evil presence seeking revenge, spilling blood, spreading terror. Bloodbeat.
All right, Betsy, usually I will summarize the movie from memory or write it down, but since you're our guest and you love horror movies, I'm going to ask you to recall the plot of this movie from beginning to end.
Oh,
Spoilers.
Pop quiz.
Spoilers allowed.
okay. And everybody,
wait,
you can watch this on Tubi.
Great. Thank you.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can watch
is that
it
what
on.
you're gonna say?
You just reminded me. Tubi. We also watched it on. I watched it on AMC with a free 8-day trial.
Oh,
Through the Apple TV Plus app. I should have mentioned that before we went to trailers, but that's where you can find it.
cool.
Tubi as well. So you shouldn't have to pay money to get this. Just make sure if you do the AMC thing to cancel your subscription within a week. Okay.
Immediately.
Yeah, immediately cancel. All right, Betsy, walk us through the plot of
Okay.
Bloodbeat.
Okay. So we start out with. Fortunately, I just watched it like right before. I will say real quick, I had to stop it so I could take a little nap. That doesn't necessarily say anything to this movie. It just happened to be the time that I like to nap.
Fair enough.
Okay. So we start with like a dude in the woods with a big old bow and arrow.
Oh.
And
And a super sick Walkman.
A Sony Walkman.
Great Sony
Yeah.
Walkman. Like, yeah. And it's just like, oh, this dude's hunting. He knows what he wants, whatever. And like, they just keep like kind of showing the trees, and you're like, where is the animal that he's going to kill or try to kill? And it takes a little while, and then he finally fires the arrow, and then we cut to him, I think, getting back to the house with a deer in the back of his truck.
And this man's name is Gary, by the way,
Yes.
who's played by Terry Brown.
Terry Brown. Has Terry Brown done other things?
He looked familiar. While you continue to talk, I'll Google Terry Brown.
Okay, yeah. He did look kind of the most familiar out of everybody.
This
like
guy's
a
been
John
in a
Denver thing
ton
going
of
on.
shit.
Oh.
He was in Princess Diaries, Nash Bridges, Copycat.
Whoa.
Oh, well, by ton of shit, I mean he has 9 credits. More than most.
so
More
funny.
than most. More than most. But a lot of posters popped up at once. So I was like, oh, fuck, this guy's been in a lot. Anyway, go on.
Oh yeah, I was looking at it too. Yeah, what a tease, Terry. Okay, so he gets home, and this like very like this lady who really was just kind of like a creepy Cher, kind of. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like she looks
Yes.
like a creepy Cher.
She's like a cross between like creepy Cher and like a Shelley Duvall from
Yes.
Shining.
Very.
And
Yep.
I thought, I was like, I bet that was on purpose. You
Yeah,
know, to
I
be like, oh,
definitely
Shining
on
just
purpose.
did great. we'll get this woman who kind of
Yeah.
looks like Shelley Duvall. And
As long as we're here, that was my main takeaway from this movie. Is like this is like someone was graduating film school and saw The Shining, and they were like, "I'm gonna make that." But then it's someone graduating film school making The Shining, not Stanley Kubrick. And this is what you get. Yeah, but please go on.
It was, it's like the sound is bad. The sound in this is very bad. Like, get
Really?
ready to like.
Yeah, there were moments where like you're like, is there a fan on in the background that they
Right.
forgot to turn off, or like
Or
they
like a
just
heartbeat. Like, there was at one point just like, or a couple points just like a like boom, boom, boom. boom. And there were a couple times where they like turned away from the camera and you couldn't hear a thing, and then they turned back and you're like, oh, now I can hear them.
yeah,
And
There
it's
were
just using
scenes
the
where they just
camera
removed
mic.
the dialogue. I noticed they were just you could see them talking, but it was just
Th-
score.
this film had
Right.
no ADR. There was nobody coming in
No
later
budget
to
for
dub
that.
over their lines.
So.
No,
But which was nice because that like when you could hear them, it was really effective. But then when you couldn't hear them, you were like, "What is happening right now?"
see, and because it was the extra, like when you couldn't hear them, it was just like what it truly was just like.
Well, it didn't help. It didn't help that the guy who plays Shelley Duvall's or Evil Cher's son, who we'll get into, like that guy's level of throwaway acting was next fucking level. That actor was like, my approach is my character doesn't fucking care about what he's saying.
Right. He was like interrupting people too. Like in scenes, like his mom would be trying to answer a question he asked, and then he's like, I just, like would just loudly interrupt her. It's like, this is so crazy, man. Anyway, so we got Evil Cher / Shelley Duvall coming out and being like, hi, I can't remember, and like, oh, did you get something? Did you get something? And then Gary is just like, yeah, I did. He like starts screaming at her, like so pumped, and like, yeah, I got one. Oh my god, and like hugs her,
And
then,
she's
like,
terrified.
yes, she is.
Rightfully so. That's a psychotic way to act.
It was so strange. And then he's like, oh, do you have a migraine? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, let's go drink some coffee. Which I've only had one migraine. I feel coffee is not the answer.
No, you get migraines from coffee, I'm pretty
Yes.
sure.
Yes. And so they go in, and then like he's eating breakfast, and they're chit chat. Oh, and like we learn that her kids are coming. We learn that like her kids are coming up. He is her boyfriend, not her husband.
Yes. Yes.
And he's all like, I'm going to tell the kids I'm marrying their mom. And she's like, don't you fucking dare. Like, she gets so mad at him. And then he, of course, gets mad at her. And then she's like, oh, I'm sorry. What we have is great. I don't want to be married again. Whatever. And then he leaves. And he's like, I'm going to go do a thing that makes me feel really good. And that is bleed out a deer.
That was a real deer, right? They really were. They had a
Definitely.
real dead deer for that.
Definitely.
Yeah. And the whole next scene really bothered me.
Yes.
Did it
I have
bother
a few
you all?
notes. Yes. One, how excited Gary's not daughter gets when she sees that deer bleeding out.
Oh
And
my
also-
god.
And also, I learned that real men wash blood off of their hands with
Yeah,
dirt
with
and leaves.
Yes, like he sees these kids pulling up, and he goes down and wipes his hand with leaves. His bloody, nasty hands. And then
The tree,
He
by the way,
hugs
the deer, yes. Also, the deer is strung up in a tree in the front yard of their
Yes.
house, like right by the road, where everyone is going to see this deer just being gutted.
it's so wild. Yeah, because you see like cars driving by and shit.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
there are definitely people be like, "Oh man, there's Gary." Fucking just
Gutting a deer,
Fucking got another one.
clearly doing it for attention.
Yeah, come on, Gary. We get it. Your girlfriend doesn't want to marry you. We get it, man.
Also, your girlfriend is real weird.
She's strange. She's strange. Oh yeah, so the kids are pumped, and Gary, with the bloodiest hands, is like hugging them and like putting his arms around them, and they're pumped. They're like, "Yeah, rub me with some deer blood, awesome!" And then we meet son's Ted is the
Girlfriend.
son.
Ted
Son's
is the
girlfriend.
son. There was like one moment where she's like, "Oh, Ted," and I laughed. I was like, "Who is named Ted anymore? Nobody." Ted is
Same.
such a 1982 name.
And because of the bad sound, everybody sounded like they had 3 different names. Like, because sometimes it was like Ted, and then sometimes it was like Tad, and then sometimes it was just like Chad. And they're like, what are you? And especially the sister, who I think's name was Sally.
Dolly.
Oh, it was Dolly. Because that was the same thing. I was like, did they just say Sally or
But listen to these
Dolly?
names. There's Gary, Kathy, Dolly. Like, so already Kathy's the mom. Then you got Ted, and Sarah is the girlfriend.
Sarah is the girlfriend. So we meet Sarah, and she is grossed out by Gary and the deer immediately. And Gary offers his like nasty bloody hand, and she's like, no. And he's like, oh yeah, I guess that's gross of me, huh? And then they all head inside. Oh, and as they're walking into the house,
Kathy,
creepy Cher, comes out and just stares down Sarah so hard. Like, it's outrageous. I feel everyone should have been like, hey, Kathy, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, no one took note of Mom's immediate repulsion of Sarah being anywhere near her son, Ted.
Right? Like, she might as well have been like, P.U., like, it is such a huge reaction to this woman, and everybody's just like, la, 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 that's fine. It's like, no, come on. You gotta yell at your mom if she looks at your guest that way.
And don't they have, like, psychic visions exchange in this moment as well?
I think so. Yeah, where it's like, okay, something is up with both of them.
Right, because the movie is about the fact that both Kathy and Sarah have psychic powers that no one seems to know about, or if they do, they don't talk about. And
right.
How that comes into play later, or how that explains the samurai, is never really clear. Yes.
No,
by the
not
way,
really.
there's a samurai in this movie.
There is a samurai. And yeah, I don't know why, but there's a samurai. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad there is. Like, hey, why not? Yeah, and like the mom to Ted is like, I feel I know her. Like, I've met her. And he's like, there's no way you've met her. Like, I've only known her for 5 months or something. And the mom's like, nah, I know her. And they're like, well, you're weird. You're a weird artist. So whatever. She's got a bunch of weird, shitty paintings all over the house.
Yes.
And like, so then, what's his name? Ted. Shows Sarah a guest room that she'll be staying in. And then like, is that when he like pulls out her boobs?
Yeah. Well, first he says that there was like a psychiatrist who was staying in that room for a while.
Right.
And then you think that was gonna, and then he covers up a photo of a little girl that we're not sure if that's supposed to be Sarah younger or the mom when she was younger.
Right.
But like Ted covers up, like you start to get these like almost like Get Out vibes where you're like, wait, is Ted bringing in a victim for the house? Like what's going on here? Like this movie had a very like prototype A24 horror film feel to it. You know what I mean? Like it had a little like Ari Aster vibe to it, like a little Hereditary vibe and a bit of a Get Out vibe, which I think is Blumhouse. But like there was some like this movie definitely like caught your attention, but then what they did with your attention was very strange.
yes, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Ted and her start hooking up, and she's like, "I feel your mom watching us right now."
Yes. Yeah, she's like, feels like your mom's in here with us right now. And he's like, I don't care, baby. Let me grab your titty, man. Like, and she is just like, please get off of me. And he's like, no, man. And so you're like, hey, fucking kill that guy. Like, let's get him out of here. But no, he's the hero. He's the hero. Wouldn't you know?
Of course.
And then they go hunting, right?
Yeah, they go hunting.
Take this poor girl hunting. He hands her a gun. They're all like riding horses. She's on a and then her boyfriend Ted hands her a gun, and she's like, I don't want to do this. And he's like, no, just hold it. And it's like,
this is a family that is very into hunting. Like they are super into, which is weird because mom is a painter and Gary is like the new boyfriend. So I didn't understand why Creepy Cher's daughter and Ted were so bloodthirsty for dead deer.
Right. I didn't eat yeah, I didn't. I guess maybe because I truly don't know. Yeah, because mom definitely
that wrote the script knows that it wasn't a lot of motivated sort of.
It's interesting because I found a factoid that the director did admit that during large portions of writing this script and filming it, he was completely blacked out on drugs.
Oh,
there it is. Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
We have a maximum overdrive scenario.
We have a little bit of a maximum overdrive scenario where like there are blackout periods where this director's like, I don't remember writing this scene and I don't remember why I put it in there.
But damn it, we're going to shoot it.
Yeah.
We're going to edit it.
I appreciate this whole movie way more now because of that. Like, that makes me root for it. I'm like, all right, cool, man, cool. So they take her... Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No. I was just getting us back on track.
Continue, Betsy.
They take her hunting, and they're like crawling through the woods, and she's like holding this giant gun, and it's just like, this sucks. And then they find a spot, and they're like, we gotta be quiet. We found a spot where a bunch of deer are, and they all, except for Sarah, of course, take their guns and their giant bows and arrows and start like aiming for these deer that are just like frolicking. They're like baby deers too, it feels like. They're like cute baby deers with the white butt.
Is Christmas hunting season, by the way? Is it? I don't know.
I have no idea. I have a feeling Gary doesn't give a shit. You know?
Gary does what Gary wants.
Yeah. Gary wants deer blood. And so Sarah's watching these deer frolic around, and then is watching everybody aiming their big weapons at these deers, and she starts like kind of freaking out. And right as everybody's about to shoot, she like screams like, "No! Stop it!"
She has a psychic vision.
Oh, she
Remember,
does.
she like has a weird like psychic like psychedelic like, wah, and then she freaks out.
Right. And these visions, some of them or none of them ever show anything specific, right?
No,
they just kind of
they
like
don't show the
fuzz-
future. I think the samurai flashes into one of them,
right.
but they don't show. It's hard to tell what she's receiving exactly. I took it to be that she was empathizing with the deer about
Yes.
to be killed.
Yes. I forgot she had one of those flashes. Yeah. So then she freaks out and she's like, no, don't do it. And then runs away. And Ted chases after her. And it's a long chase.
And they do fire the guns, which is important.
Yes, they do end up shooting the guns.
But the deer gets away.
But the deer are all fine. And so Sarah's sprinting through the woods and like falling, but getting up and running and crying. Ted is chasing after her, not even being like, hey, are you okay? But just being like, Sarah, like kind of hit.
He's mad that she scared the deer away.
Yeah. Everybody's kind of mad she scared the deer away. And then she comes up. Does she have another vision? Or no?
I think she sees. I watched this yesterday, but like Riley, help me out. Help us out here.
It gets a little blurry at this point, to be honest.
Well, this guy comes stumbling.
This
guy comes stumbling out of the woods, holding his guts.
With his guts.
His guts are out.
I think she is seeing like the forest in like weird negative like predator vision, psychic visions as she's running away. So like something other than just her being scared of the deer is like tickling her, or like vibing on her. She's picking up on some sort of psychic atmosphere,
Yes. Totally. Yeah. And so
as conveyed by that like film color saturation thing that they clearly discovered in the lab and then just like way overused.
Yeah, it did over and over again. And we haven't even gotten to the rotoscoping animation yet.
Oh, right.
Where there's like
it's beautiful.
Hanna-Barbera level like electric bolts shocking people, where it's literally like a cartoon electric bolt shocking them.
It made me so happy. Like that's when I was like, I think I love this movie so much. Like,
that's the moment last night, Betsy. I texted you. I was like, look, this movie's a slow burn, but then once it happens, it really happens.
Happens.
It's great.
It's so great.
So they find a dead guy. They're worried that they shot the dead guy. The sheriff comes out. They're like, we didn't shoot him. We were shooting in the opposite direction. We don't know what's happening. And then the sheriff wishes them all a Merry Christmas.
Oh my God. Yeah, he like gets in his car and is just like, oh, hey, Merry Christmas.
Hey, you didn't murder, did you? No? Okay, cool.
All right.
By the way, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, and so they go home. Sarah's losing her mind. Oh, yeah, and like the ambulance driver's like, we gave her medicine, which is 3 aspirin and like a shot of whiskey or something.
Yeah, sherry.
Sherry, even. Oh, that's so
How
gross.
do they have sherry with them?
That's so gross. Oh, that really grosses me out. Those people are monsters. I remember one time in college, we had brandy for some reason, or maybe we honestly bought it because we were like, let's be classy and like drink brandy. It was so gross. And of course, it was cheap.
I've never had it.
It was so, and we were like, oh, this is good. Like, we're fancy. Like, after dinner, let's have some brandy. And we were so grossed out by it. It's so nasty.
Yeah. Brandy tastes like a Monster energy drink or something.
Yeah, and it's like kind of like thick and like, it's syrupy. So gross.
Can you imagine if you were in like a car accident on the 101 and an ambulance comes and you're like, your arm's really banged up and maybe you're bleeding a little bit out of your head, but you're like conscious, but the ambulance has to take you to the hospital and the first thing the paramedics do is like give you brandy.
Oh my God. I'm like, hey man, we're not in World War I. This is not going to help me at all. What the fuck? And then they're like, hey, that brandy was $7,000. Like, oh, God.
After insurance.
Yeah, after insurance. Really? Yep.
Well,
Cool.
it came off a pirate ship from the late 1780s. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
So they're back at the house.
Yeah, so they're back in the house.
Playing Monopoly.
Yeah.
Gary starts watching TV with his headphones on, which was really rad. This guy loves tech.
Yeah. I was like, this looks like really cool what he's doing.
Mom is painting, but being like possessed while painting. And upstairs, Sarah finds a chest. Oh, there's all these artifacts, like Japanese artifacts in the bedroom.
Yes.
Of like little statues and stuff that are never explained.
Right. I wonder if Ted mumbled a little explanation for all of that, and I bet he did. I bet he was like, Professor.
Yeah. Like the psychiatrist brought them, maybe. The reason why all these artifacts were in their upstairs guest room.
Right. Yes. And so Sarah is like, oh my God, I found this trunk. And she opens up this trunk and there's like samurai gear, helmet, armor, a sword. She pulls out the sword. She, like you would with a sword, you run your finger across the blade immediately and cut yourself. And she then, oh yeah, go ahead.
This has to be worth at least, I'm going to say roughly $1 million just out of the box. Like, this is priceless samurai armor. What is it doing in this Wisconsin farmhouse?
Yeah, it's so strange. Wait, and does she like unlock it? Is that the deal? Like, she unlocks this?
I think because they flash to later, the mom has a flashback of the little girl whose photo's covered up, of running her fingers over the blade and bleeding.
Right.
And what I'm guessing, and here's the thing, they never explain where the armor, why the armor, what the little girl, like, it makes you think that the mom once did this.
Right.
And had a psychic connection with this samurai spirit, because when shit hits the fan, which it later does, like the house erupts in full-blown telekinetic poltergeist activity, where Gary's being attacked by peaches and knives in the kitchen that are flying across the room, which is great.
I love that.
And then mom is like psychically battling. Meanwhile, while all of this is going on, Sarah is having like an orgiastic and orgasmic connection with the spirit that's trying to kill everybody. But it seems to imply that the mom at one point, when she was little, did it, because after all this shit breaks loose, hell breaks loose, a ghost samurai is wandering around killing their neighbors. The grown children, Ted and Dolly, are like, we believe you now, Mom. We believe you. She's like, it's happening now. And they're like, shut up. Don't talk about it. So it seems like at one point they had all heard a story. This is what's wild about this movie. That like mom may have had a sexual relationship with a samurai. It might be why she's so weird. Her paintings, because she's painting the samurai in her paintings.
She paints the samurai.
And so they were all like, okay, we get it now, just don't talk about it. And then they never talk about it for the rest of the movie.
And Dolly also has telekinetic powers.
Yes.
Because there's like a point where she's like, get out of my brain, Mom. And then like really like, and then Mom can't get her.
Because Mom is trying to watch her and Ted fuck. So they are in a psychic battle. And then there's this, once she cuts her finger on the blade, this samurai comes to life,
Yes.
but not in the house, like miles away, and
Yes.
starts walking towards the house. And like Jason or Freddy, or not Freddy,
Yes.
but Michael Myers, just starts killing any person or hunter that that gets in the way.
Right. And Sarah is loving it because she's just
Every
up in bed,
moment.
just like, yeah, losing it. That took me a while to figure out. I was like, oh.
Every time the samurai kills somebody, she has the most mind-blowing orgasm.
Yeah.
And it's also funny because like the family just is like leaving her up in the room all by herself and not hanging out with her at all.
Right.
Alone, just furiously masturbating.
And like
Yeah.
they would absolutely hear her coming because like she is so loud. Like
It kind of like in the way that Santa is powered by belief, like that samurai was powered by her mind-blowing orgasms.
yes. Oh man.
This actress's commitment, let's just get into it.
Wow,
to
dude.
coming was wild, like impressive. Like her back is arched, her pelvis is high in the air. She's got like it's so insanely sexual, but also very chaste at the same time because like blankets are covering everything, but it is so it's like watching a porn. It is so wild how like, that's what porn is like, right? I've never seen one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
She's like men in armor stabbing dudes and then women screaming. That's what porn
yeah,
is,
that's
right?
porn. That's porn, man.
Yeah,
That's
it's
porn.
porn. Yeah.
It's some
That's out
people's
there.
porn for sure.
Have you ever heard of the rules of the internet? It's like this thing online, but one of the rules is if it exists, there's porn of it.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's true.
That is true.
Yeah.
Someone in 1983 had their sexual awakening watching this movie.
Absolutely.
I think this is why there were so many like hardcore like samurai sword collectors in like the Midwest.
Bloodbeat.
Yeah. Every time I use this, my girlfriend blows her wad.
Super hot.
Blows her wad. Ew, but also, yep.
So Samurai's killing this ghost samurai with crazy blue animated rotoscoping.
Yes.
Is just walking through the woods, killing hunters, neighbors, heading towards the house.
Right.
The house in the meantime has this like fucking barn, like Twister level shit flying around the room.
That was awesome.
That was
like
great.
The kid, everything's shaking. Stuff starts flying at Gary. It was. I love shit like that. I love when.
Too.
Oh, I
love
it's
like
so
picturing too, like the grip just below frame, like banging the closet shut and stuff, and just like
the Christmas tree shaking. There was like moments where I was like, I think I can see the guy behind the tree moving it.
Yes, so I love that so much.
Yeah, me too.
It was so good.
So what happens when the samurai
like film tricks? Sorry, go on.
No. Like, and then, but even after all that. Ted doesn't go up to check on her until he's horny again.
Right. And then they do it. And while they're doing it, Samurai goes and kills like dudes camping. And she's like riding Ted just
losing her mind.
Losing it. And he's just laying there like, oh yeah, that's me.
I'm the man.
Oh yeah, I'm doing that. Like
definitely not a ghost samurai doing this.
It was so weird. It was so strange, but I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too. Samurai gets to the house. Then what happens? Then we get some like animated zip zaps. What happens when the samurai gets to the house? So then,
like, it's kind of like a battle, right? Like, Samurai knocks Gary out, but he's still alive. He's still alive.
Yeah.
But then, like, Kathy is trying to like fight Samurai, right?
Kathy's hands glow red. She can go. She's like, "Who are?" This is the other thing that's confusing. She's like, "Who are you? What do you want?"
Right. And yes,
You know what I mean?
and that's before okay, that's yes. Who are you? What do you want? Leave me alone, kind of. And don't touch my kids. And the kids are like running around trying to hide. They're like hiding behind a door, and then the samurai sword with blue around it busts through, and it looks great and it's funny. And then but so then Sarah, right, is like in that room,
Yeah.
and Samurai appears.
And she like electrocutes him at one point.
Yeah.
I
But then-
truly don't remember how this movie ends now that I think about it.
So then she becomes Samurai.
That's right. She merges with the samurai.
Oh, wait. So before that though, Gary and the kids are running through the woods. Oh, this is way before. Maybe we don't even need to talk about it.
By the way,
But
guys,
Gary
if you're
thinks he-
confused, this is exactly what it's like to watch this movie.
Yes, it's very
This
like,
might
wait, what?
actually be tighter than the actual script at this point.
It truly is. At
This
one
is how the
point-
movie was written. This is actually a recording of the two writers and the producer
Yeah,
developing the script in 1981.
exactly. Hey, let's do some more Quaaludes right now. Okay, great. Let's go. And now okay. So Gary, Ted goes into the woods and is like sad and like hoping to kill a deer. Girl runs out. This is earlier though. But so at one point, Gary thinks he has stopped the samurai killer, but
Yes.
keeps,
Right.
He does shoot it.
keeps like the helmet and
Hits it with
stuff
an
being
axe,
like,
and it-
we need to
That's what
take
it
this to
is.
police, and then shit goes down. Okay,
And,
anyway,
and
so-
creepy mom is like, burn it.
yes.
Burn it all. And Gary's like, no, this is evidence because Uncle Pete's been killed by this point. The
Yes.
family who serves tea on a waterbed has been killed.
Oh
Do
my
you remember
God,
that
that was
scene?
so
also
strange.
like
Yes.
very snuggling that dog, like really getting in there on that waterbed with a full tea service
With a
also
full-
on the waterbed.
Tea service while
Which is just
reading
such
the
a weird choice.
newspaper. It was all
A
so
run
strange.
around a dog. It's like, that guy gonna fuck that dog?
Um,
What's going on here?
Maybe,
okay.
man.
So here, this is going to get us back on track. On Wikipedia, at dawn, Dolly goes to search for Ted, who has disappeared into the woods and is attacked by the samurai. Gary and Ted both hear her screams. Gary saves her by bludgeoning the samurai with an axe. Gary returns home with the samurai's armor, which Kathy and Dolly urge him to burn, but he refuses.
And
Moments
by them
later-
urging, they're both just like, I swear, Kathy's just like, burn it. Like, not even like get like freaking out. She's just kind of like, burn it. Like, she's
Yeah,
so
you probably
calm.
Yes. Oh, and I forgot about this part. Ted finds Sarah burning a photo in her bedroom with pyrokinesis, and
Yes.
she throws him across the room using telekinetic powers. Kathy
Yes.
confronts Sarah, who she finds adorning herself in the samurai armor, and
There we
realizes
go.
that Sarah is a reincarnation of the warrior. Okay, that I did not pick up on.
Yeah, I
Right.
didn't get
There's
that
at one
all.
point, like,
Yeah.
Sarah is sitting in that room, like putting the armor on and like makeup. And then mom walks in to find Sarah and she's like, it's you or whatever. And then Sarah goes and like
Sarah's-
once again knocks out mom, knocks out Gary, but then the kids, because remember, Dolly also has telekinesis. Why not?
That's right. Everyone has psychic powers except for Gary in this movie.
Yes. And so Dolly like grabs Ted's hand
Ted.
and together they mind battle the samurai to death. Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
With
right.
Sibling power.
But
yeah.
doesn't Sarah kill Kathy and Gary with the sword?
Yeah, it seems like they die,
I think she
right?
stabs them to
Yes.
death, and
I
then
think you're right about
Dolly
that.
and
Yeah.
Ted are the last people standing.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
correct. She kills them.
And then that's it. That's the whole movie.
Yeah, they
That's the
walk
movie.
out. Yeah, they walk outside, and then it's just kind of like credits roll.
Yeah. No, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Also, the
Yeah.
whole time, the poor daughter had no pants on.
Yeah,
No.
what was that?
That was
Just a
such a-
t-shirt and leg warmers.
Yeah, it was such a like, hey, sir, who's directing this and on a bunch of drugs, let her wear pants. Like she's running through the woods with no pants on and like sitting on a cold log with no pants on. It's like, how dare you, sir?
So, Bloodbeat was filmed in Wisconsin on 35 millimeter. The director of photography, Vladimir Mal, believed that the
that
film
shit was shot on 35.
Yeah, listen.
Jesus.
The
Wow.
DP thought that the film was being shot for television rather than for theaters and filmed in full screen 4.3 instead of widescreen,
Yeah,
which is why it's a
Right.
box.
Wow.
Writer-director Fabrice Ong Zafaratos was under the influence of drugs during at least some of the writing process in the filming. He has stated that the film's title, Bloodbeat, is a reference to the accelerated heartbeat experienced while high.
So sick.
That's it. There we go. That's it. There we go.
Oh my God. Don't do drugs, kids. You'll make blood beat.
Let's see other trivia. Yes.
I got
yes,
a piece
yes.
of trivia for you.
Great,
That
let's hear it.
In the history of film, that is the most times the reverb tank slap sound effect has been used. I don't know that for fact, but I know that for fact.
Can you demonstrate that sound for us?
Yes, please.
Oh man, I'll put one in post, but it's like, like, have you ever heard someone moving like a guitar amp and it goes like
Yes.
that sound?
Yeah.
It's just the springs in a spring reverb like slapping.
Oh.
It's the
the way those-
psychic power sound, isn't it?
Yeah. The
Yes.
way that like those reverbs work is you like put an audio signal through an actual physical spring and it literally bounces in the spring. It creates a reverb. That spring reverb. So if you slap the
Wow.
spring, it makes that noise, and they figured that out. And
Wow.
there's like got to be 100 of those in this movie. It's just like every minute or so there's just a spring tank slap.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Oh my
that was my big takeaway from this.
That's
The
a big,
deer
that's a good
used
one.
for the deer cleaning scene was purchased at a farm. Doesn't say if it was alive or dead when they got it.
Oh no.
The wires
He's playing Gary. He's like, I'll take care of it. Don't worry, don't worry.
The wires
That's on his,
behind
like headshot resume, like special skills.
Do you think they let
Deer
Gary go
gutting.
pick out the deer that they wanted to buy, like a
Oh
lobster in
my
a tank?
god. That makes me so sad, probably. If they're on drugs and Gary's
They're
like
high out of their
around.
minds killing deer.
The wires behind a telephone caught on fire during the shooting of the sequence in which a supernatural force causes havoc inside the farmhouse. So they started a fire.
That sounds
Nice.
about right.
I mean, all said and done, how many out of let's talk about this movie in terms of how we would rank it.
Okay.
Now what we usually do, Betsy, is we pick an item from the movie, like, maybe out of 10 samurai swords, how many samurai swords would you give this? But that's a little
Okay.
boring. So what's the
Yeah.
item that we're gonna rate this by?
Oh.
Like how many Bloody Gary hugs out of 10
Ew,
Bloody Gary
yeah, that's
hugs?
a good
How
one.
many
That's a
gutted
good
deers?
one. That's a
How
good
many-
one.
How many back arching samurai orgasms?
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty
Oh
good. Yeah,
shit! There we go. That's the one.
back arching
Alright.
or orgasm samurai. So a BASOs. How many BASOs out of
BASOs?
10 BASOs are we going to give this film? Starting with Riley.
2 maybe. No, it's not good. It's terrible. It's not a good movie. It's fun. I enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
I mean it's very very bad. Yeah, but watch it if you're bored at home. Yeah, 2.
Betsy, what do you think?
I'm gonna go. We're doing it out of 10.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna give it Ooh, I'm gonna give it 6
Nice.
back
Nice, good.
arching samurai orgasm things. It was. I can't wait to show this to like Mono and to
Yes.
show it. Like
Oh,
it
yeah.
was one the whole time because I watched it by myself. Where I was like, "Ooh, I wish." Especially I wish somebody was here with me.
Yeah.
That we
Yeah.
could be like, oh my God. And
Yeah.
because it's Christmas, I will watch it at least once a year. Because it's a fun
Oh,
new, like
that makes
weird
me
Christmas horror
so
movie that I'll be like,
fucking happy. Betsy, I'm in your camp. I loved every second of this movie. I would give this 8 BASOs out of 10
Ooh,
BASOs.
nice.
Wow, that's a big night. Yeah.
I genuinely I thought it's a little slow. It doesn't make sense, but the weirdness of it had me wrapped in. I actually thought, even though it was shot mistakenly in 4:3 aspect ratio,
That's so funny.
I thought some of the shots were really beautiful. Like there were some shots in the woods that were really great. I thought there was like, even though the acting was bad, the minimalistic, like bad painting, set design was really effective in certain places. I love the crazy Hanna-Barbera animation rotoscoping that was done.
God. Same.
Like when you literally saw like the samurai got shocked and there were like literal like 5-point cartoon stars popping out of his hand. I was like, I'm in love with this now. Like this is this is like this is a weird it's like pop art. And
Yeah.
It's
a good point.
I know where you're coming from, Riley. Don't get me wrong. This is not everybody's cup of tea. The script doesn't make sense.
I
it
liked
doesn't add up.
For the record, I enjoyed this whole process. I'm just saying it's a piece of shit movie. But
yeah, like don't go in.
It's fun to watch.
Ready
like, it's not
for
good.
yeah.
But like it really, I'm not sour on the pick or the time spent watching it. It was like this was a good time.
I don't think it's a piece of shit. I think it is a cult.
All right.
I think it's a cult artifact. I won't say classic, but I think it's a cult artifact. I think it's better than a piece of shit.
Maybe
I
think it is.
More people need to know about it.
Yes, I do too. And I'm shocked, as I think you were, Betsy, when I was like, wait, what's this? And texted it over to you and you were like, this looks insane. I'm surprised more people don't know about this movie.
Right.
Because it does feel to me in a weird way. There were glimpses of this movie where I was like, this is kind of like a low budget A24 horror movie from 1982. You know what I mean? I could kind of see it being a little bit more of an art house horror film, or trying to be, you know?
Right. I mean, yeah. That's giving it a lot of.
I think I'm giving it a lot of.
I think we need to keep in mind the dude was on so many drugs.
Yes, he was
but
so
that
high
makes it
watching
really
Stanley Kubrick movies.
That truly, for me, makes it even more like, yes, you were.
It does make it better.
This is now I get it, man. But that's nice. That's nice, Michael.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I might be out of line there.
I feel bad because I'm like, Helier was bad, but your thoughts on it. No. It wasn't bad. It was just a little too slow for me.
No. It was slow.
Bad.
For an 86-minute film, I will say this. For an 86-minute film, it was too long.
Yes.
Like, there were
that was 86 minutes?
86 minutes. And it felt like a
days.
full it did.
They had a lot of long. We're sitting in this scene when we absolutely do not need to be.
So much time playing Monopoly, but then again, I was like, I love that they're doing this. It's so weird. It's almost like, how long can we leave this building or pretending to build tension before we just turn into a cartoon samurai is killing people?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Which does remind me of an A24 where it's like a slow build and then holy shit. Or some of them, some of those.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just don't know if they meant to do that.
No. But I would not be shocked if like Ari Aster was like, oh, I've seen that movie. I like that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. No, I totally get what you're saying. Definitely. And you're probably not wrong.
Right.
Oh, well, Betsy, thank you so much for unpacking.
Oh.
And honestly, I want to have you back for every movie summary that we ever have again
Oh
because
Yeah,
my
that was
God.
fun.
I love
Yeah.
watching weird
So much
movies
fun.
so much.
Yeah, it's a good
me
time.
too. It is truly like that was the thing was there was a moment like 10 minutes in where I was like, I'm so happy I stopped and I'm watching this movie right now. Like this is what I want to be doing, you know?
Yeah.
I loved
Yeah.
it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, you're right. It's a bad movie, but man, I loved watching it.
Yeah. Pure
Nothing
fun.
wrong with that.
And you said it of just like, you want to see what this is gonna be. You
Mhm.
know, like you're so just like, well, I have to see what the fuck this is. It's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You know
great.
Cartoon Samurai's coming and you're like, how are we going to get there?
Yes.
How is this?
And
How do you
honestly,
pull this off?
they didn't know and they didn't tell us how. So
Yeah, they didn't. They really
More
didn't.
questions than answers. Yeah. Because
I
how
mean-
did we get here?
Yeah. It's so wild. And we didn't even touch upon any of the cultural appropriation that comes packed
Oh, yeah.
in
yeah.
with this
Oh,
movie. But
right.
I mean, that's
that's a
assumed, I
given.
think, at
That's
this point,
assumed.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
is just a
Right.
wild. It's like, what if the bad guy, what if it's Jason, but it's a ghost samurai? I think that's what they thought.
Sick.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Oh my God. It's
That's
so
the
great.
roots.
Well, Betsy, where can people find you and anything you're working on?
Oh my goodness. You all could just find me on Instagram at Betsy Sodaro. I have a podcast with Marcy Jarro called A Funny Feeling. That I feel you all might know about or whatever.
Yes.
Where it's a paranormal podcast where we talk to friends about their experiences, and we also read a lot of listeners' experiences and listen to that and stuff. And then I have a podcast with Mono Agapian called We Love Trash. It's on Patreon. And we do a lot of this. Like, we talk about a lot of fun, weird movies and just kind of anything and everything that we love about trashy stuff. So, yeah. Check it out.
Check that out and check out the Demon Warp episode, the
Oh,
crossover
yes.
episode that we did with you guys. Listeners, if you haven't heard that yet, that's another great movie club episode with Betsy and Mono. So check that out. Betsy,
Yeah.
we love you.
Oh, I love you all so much.
Mhm.
We love our listeners. Happy holidays to everybody. Whether you're celebrating Samurai Christmas or I guess Hanukkah's come and gone now, or however you celebrate, whatever you celebrate, happy holidays. Stay safe. We'll be back shortly with our book club episode about Grant Morrison's The Invisibles. We're reading comics this month, Betsy.
Wow, cool.
Which is a really great series. So Riley and I will be back for that. Until then, good night. Go get regress, kisses, and
Thank you, Patreon.